Hello everyone, welcome into Deacon's NFL Talk. I'm your host Deacon. Welcome back to another episode on the channel, episode 54. And this week, we are going to get to a little bit of draft stuff this week, but this week we only have 3 topics this week, so not a big episode NFL news-wise. After that, we have 9 topics of quick hits, the most in a while, so we'll see if I can beat the timer, and we'll see if the timer beats me for the first time in about a month. After that, we have one reaction to get to. Sneak peek at it. Yes, everyone's talking about it. It's about the prank call that Shedeur Sanders faced with. After that, we're having winners and losers from this past week's NFL draft. Then after that, we'll have the quiz and one question of the week, and that will sum up a great episode 54. This is Deacon's NFL Talk. All right, everyone, we're going to jump right into this one. So, as always, we're starting off with the main topic, and without a doubt, it is 100% the fact that Shedeur Sanders fell from a projected top 10 pick to an eventual 5th-round selection, pick 144 by the Cleveland Browns, and this caught me off guard, okay? Every time there was a quarterback-needy team like the Browns, the Saints, the Giants, the Steelers, every time those teams popped up, whether it was in the first round, the second round, the third round, the fourth round, eventually the 5th round, every round that one of those teams popped up, I was like, yeah, it's got to be Shedeur Sanders. Every single time. And I was wrong every single time. The Browns took Sanders at pick 144 and, according to most, becoming the steal of the draft. The fact that if you told anybody, like anybody that does mock drafts, then you told them that Shedeur Sanders was going to drop to the 5th round, they'd call you crazy. Because in February and in March, we were having Shedeur Sanders going to the 2nd overall to the Browns. So same landing spot, just completely different round and completely different timing of the landing spot. But yeah, there was many mock drafts in like February and March that had Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders going 1 and 2, and maybe even like Abdul Carter and Cam Ward. But most of the time, you saw Cam Ward, Shedeur Sanders. Yeah, if you told me that Shedeur was going to fall to the 5th round, even before, because I never had Sanders going to the number 2 overall. I never once had it. But if you told me in March that he was going to fall out of the 1st round, I would have called you crazy. I would have thought something was wrong with you. But the Browns traded up 22 spots with Seattle, receiving pick 144 and trading 166 and 192 to the Seahawks. So they did have to trade up many slots to trade up and get to Sanders. Obviously, trading 166 and 162 to Seattle, which they really need. But Sanders was the 6th quarterback taken in the draft, behind Cam Ward, Jackson Dart, Tyler Shuck, Jalen Milroe, and Dalen Gabriel, who's also drafted by the Browns as well. So I also saw an article from NFL.com. No, it wasn't NFL.com. I saw an article from CBS Sports that says Browns GM says the team did not plan on drafting 2 quarterbacks. But obviously, change of plans, right? Because I guarantee you, Cleveland drafted Dalen Gabriel thinking Shedeur would not fall any further. But when he fell to the 5th to 144, which is the Browns' next pick, they were like, we can't pass him up. I mean, honestly, I'm really excited to see how this battle goes in training camp between Dalen Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. That is going to be an interesting quarterback battle. I mean, we're also going to see Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett. So there's going to be 2 quarterback battles going on. I would say the Joe Flacco and Kenny Pickett one will depend on who's starting, and Dalen Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders will be the one depending on who's going to be the 2nd, 3rd string guy, something like that. But, I mean, yeah, the Colorado prospect joins a quarterback room that includes Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, Deshaun Watson, who is on IR, Dalen Gabriel, and himself. So, yeah, I mean, this is a stacked quarterback room, not as in talent-wise, I wouldn't say, but as in, like, a lot of good, solid depth at the position. If I had to predict the outcome, I know we're not even in Like, it's not even like OTAs, training camp, that stuff hasn't happened yet. But if I had to predict who the Browns' Week 1 starting quarterback would be, I would probably say is going to be Kenny Pickett. I know a lot of people say Joe Flacco for a good reason. My reason why I think it's not going to be Joe Flacco is because he's a lot older than Pickett. I think Kenny Pickett has a lot more upside as well. And I just don't see Dylan Gabriel, especially Dylan Gabriel. I don't see him being QB1 in Week 1. I can see Shedeur Sanders potentially, but I would say they're going to let him sit for a year or two. And that's just what I think. Who knows? I could be dead wrong on this. But I would say Kenny Pickett will be quarterback 1. Joe Flacco will be QB2. Sanders will be QB3. And Gabriel will be QB4. Some people say Sanders is going to be QB4 behind, obviously not Deshaun Watson, but behind everybody else, which kind of shocks me. I just can't see. He's gonna be the third string. I think he's either third string or second string in my opinion. But Sanders led the Big 12 in pass yards with 4,134, pass touchdowns with 37, and yards per game with 318. So yeah, really good year in Colorado. Obviously, it's gonna be a lot different. It changes scenery in Cleveland. He doesn't have a Travis Hunter anymore, so it's gonna be a lot tougher on him. The fact that he doesn't have that kind of weapon. Jerry Jeudy's a solid go-to receiver, a solid receiver 1, but outside of that, good luck. And honestly, I think I about went on to the next topic. But one thing I thought about after the draft is, what if the Browns never traded the second overall pick? What if they got Travis Hunter? What if the Browns did get Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round? I mean, I'm sure obviously now maybe they haven't thought about this, but if they thought about this after the draft, they were probably kicking themselves. Like, that is the next Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, in my opinion. I think that'd be awesome to see him on the same team. It's really Cleveland's fault. I mean, they traded the second pick to the Jaguars for a good haul, but they really just I was just thinking about that. Like, man, if they was stuck and picked Travis Hunter, they would have had him and Sanders, dude. That would have been awesome. I would have loved to see that. That would actually totally break the NFL. That's something that I thought about, because obviously I'm sure they traded the pick because the Jaguars had a good offer and they didn't expect Sanders to be available in the 5th round. But it happened, and I think the Browns blew it, as they normally do. So we're going to go into the second topic. The Commanders are returning to Washington, D.C. with a new stadium deal, potentially costing $3 billion. So yeah, this was a topic that actually popped up about a month or two ago. There was talks about, we'll see what happens. We'll see where this thing goes. There was never ever a sure thing that they were going back to D.C. I believe, there was also a report that they explored stadium deals in Virginia, so that would have been interesting. But yeah, the new stadium could open in 2030, I've heard. So that's really their window to kind of get things rolling. But yeah, the Commanders' current deal in Landover, Maryland runs through 2027, but the team will still be able to play at Northwest Stadium, which is in Landover, until they're ready for their new stadium, I believe. That's what I've heard. Don't quote me on that, because that's what I've read and heard. But yeah, the Commanders last played in D.C. almost 3 years ago, so it really hasn't been incredibly long. I just can't remember them being in D.C., but obviously I didn't pay attention to NFL news really since I've been an NFL fan, but for the past probably 3 years actually, I just haven't been consistent at it since then. But yeah, we'll see. Who knows? Maybe they'll brand their name again. Maybe they'll be called the DC Commanders, which is much better than the Washington football team. Honestly, I think they should go back to the Redskins. It sounds a lot better than Commanders, but Commanders isn't terrible, but I still know people that actually I still know a few people that call them the Redskins. So I don't know. But we'll see. I feel like there hasn't been anything about it. They'll change their name, so I wouldn't worry about it. But I think DC Commanders will be much better than Washington Commanders. I just think it has a nice ring to it. We're going to go into the last topic. The 49ers inked George Kittle to a 4-year, $76.4 million deal, becoming the league's highest paid tight end. Yes, passing Trey McBride as well. Kittle earns $40 million in total guarantees, $35 million at signing, $5 million in 2027, and an average annual value of $19.1 million, which passes Cardinals tight end Trey McBride, who had $19 million. So, very close in contracts. But yeah, Kittle was entering the final year of his deal when he signed back in 2020. He also skipped the start of voluntary workouts last week. I don't know if you guys remember that or not. I obviously didn't get this in an episode, but yes, there was this huge thing going on whether Purdy would attend workouts and everything for training camp or whatever, and Purdy attended, but Kittle didn't. So that was like a big thing going on. Like, oh, maybe like we'll see what happens with, George Kittle. So I feel like I've been saying Kenny Pickett. If I have been, I'm really sorry. But yes, George Kittle. But yes, in 2024, he tallied 78 receptions for 1,106 yards and 8 touchdowns. So really good year, and honestly, he's going to get a lot more touches than he did last year, to be honest with you. I mean, the 49ers fans know it. The 49ers organization knows it. Because, you got rid of Deebo Samuel. You still have Brandon Ayuk, but we'll see how his ACL is by the time the season starts. But you got rid of so many people. Like, honestly, I can't see the 49ers being contenders for a few years. Give it 4 or 5 years. Give it half a decade, maybe. We'll see, because their defense right now is depleted. And their draft was hardly any better, even though a lot of people liked it. They drafted Michael Williams in the first round. Call me crazy, but I think he's going to be a bust. I don't know if you guys remember this prospect from the 2023 or 22 NFL draft. I think it was 23. No, sorry. It was 22. The 2022 NFL draft, I believe, Tyree Wilson, I got drafted to the Raiders. He just reminds me of Michael Williams reminds me of Tyree Wilson for whatever reason. I don't know why, to be honest, but I just feel like him and Shamar Stewart are going to be busts. Those were the two edge rushers that were projected first-round picks. If I was an NFL GM and let's say I'm the 49ers GM. I'm not if I'm just like a GM overall. I'm not drafting Michael Williams or Shamar Stewart, honestly, because these guys would have been second-round picks last year. But anyway, we're not going to get too deep into that. But up next for a big contract will likely be Brock Purdy, who is expected to receive a big payday. We would not be shocked at all if he got, 50+ million a year. Honestly, who said that? Somebody said if Purdy makes 50 million plus or 50 million, then something about the 49ers. I can't remember. Like, they wouldn't be contending or something because, they obviously pay so much. That's 50 million per year, not in a contract. 50 million per year, which would be, if you think about it, 50 on a 4-year deal, 5-year deal, something like that. Can you imagine 50 million a year? If he signed a 4-year deal, $50 million in average annual value, it'd be a $200 million deal. That is absolutely mind-blowing. And if you signed a 5-year deal, it'd be $250 million over 5 years. Just one of those things, crazy things to think about. Would not be shocked if Purdy actually got a big contract, even though I don't think, after last year's kind of downfall a little bit, I don't think he deserves it. Maybe I'm tripping. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe he didn't have a downfall. I just feel like he wasn't as big of a name as he was when, obviously, his rookie year, because he came out of nowhere. But if he returns to his rookie form, I feel like he deserves that kind of money. But as of right now, after coming off the season he had, I'm sorry, he's not worth $50 million. He's not worth Jamar Chase's money, or you get the point. But we're gonna go on to quick hits. We have 9 topics. I have to get them all in 2 minutes so I can beat the timer. Probably for 2 months straight, a month and a half maybe, I've gotten it. But that's when we had like 3 topics, 5 topics. This is a different animal. We got 9 topics this week. Let's see if I can beat the topic. We have 9. They're not incredibly long, but I should be able to get the job done. But here we go. Seahawks quarterback Sam Howell Seahawks trading quarterback Sam Howell to the Vikings in a draft pick swap. Minnesota received Sam Howell and pick 172 for pick 142. Howell will serve as a backup and has started in 18 career games, 17 of which came in Washington. Seattle's quarterback room assists of Sam Darnold, Drew Lock, and third-round pick Jalen Milroe, Howell being the odd man out. Colorado safety Shedeur Sanders signs with the Buccaneers as an undrafted free agent. In his 6 years in college, he generated 229 tackles, 6 interceptions, and 13 pass deflections and 7 forced fumbles. Ex-Raiders wide receiver Hunter Renfrow signs with the Panthers on a 1-year deal. Renfrow will join a receiving room that consists of Adam Thielen, Xavier Legette, and Tedrow McMillan, who was drafted as the 8th overall selection in the draft. In his best season as a pro in 2021, Renfrow racked up 103 receptions, 1,038 yards, 9 touchdowns, and earned his first Pro Bowl. Vikings signed linebacker Andrew Van Ginkel to a 1-year, $23 million extension. Van Ginkel still had another year on his deal he signed in 2024, but had no security for 2026. In 2024, he registered 79 tackles, 11.5 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 6 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions, which both resulted in touchdowns. Deontay Johnson signs a 1-year deal with the Browns. Johnson is coming off a dramatic 2024 season playing for 3 different teams, Panthers, Ravens, and Texans. Johnson had a visit with the Browns on Monday before signing with the team. NFL fines Falcons $250,000 and Jeff Ulbrich $100,000 for prank calling Shedeur Sanders. Ulbrich's son Jax Ulbrich pulled off a prank calling Shedeur Sanders, saying he was the Saints GM. Both Jax and the Falcons took social media to apologize about the matter to the Sanders family. Jets backup quarterback Jordan Travis retires after just 2 seasons in the NFL. The 24-year-old was medically advised to retire following leg injury he suffered in college at FSU. Travis sustained the injury in his final game in college. Travis was a 5th-round selection in the 2024 draft and had not played a single snap in the NFL in his short career. I almost had it. We have 2 left. I was close. I'm gonna go through that Jordan Travis one again because I was flying through that one. So Jets backup quarterback Jordan Travis retires after just 2 seasons in the NFL. The 24-year-old was medically advised to retire following the leg injury he suffered in college at Florida State. Travis sustained the injury in his final game in college. Travis was a 5th-round selection in the 2024 draft and had not played a single snap in his short career. Packers running back Josh Jacobs says Henry Ruggs III is training in prison and hoping for an NFL return. Back in 2021, Ruggs was speeding and drinking and killed a 23-year-old woman and pled guilty under the influence of death, felony, and misdemeanor. In result of all that, Ruggs went to prison where he faced 120 months for the first charge and 6 months for his second charge. Ruggs is eligible for parole on August 5th, 2026. Last one. Bills signed veteran wide receiver Elijah Moore to a 1-year deal. The deal is worth up to $5 million. 25-year-old caught 61 passes for 538 yards and 1 touchdown. But yeah, we have reactions after this. So the Falcons got fined $250,000 and Jeff Ulbrich got fined $100,000 for Jax Ulbrich prank calling Shedeur Sanders. This has been the hot topic of the week. And honestly, it's mixed emotions for me. Very little of me says this is funny, and some of it says why. It's just pointless. I mean, it wasn't only Sanders that got prank called. The Comacord, Tyler Warren, Isaiah Bond, and more got prank called as well. So this also isn't the first time this has ever happened. Cooper DeJean got prank called last year. But my question is, why are we fining the Falcons? Why are we fining the Falcons for prank calling Shedeur Sanders, and we're not fining the guy whoever prank called Tyler Warren, Kyle McCord, Cooper DeJean last year? Why aren't we fining them for prank calling those athletes? It doesn't make sense. You know why? Because Shedeur Sanders is such a big name, and he was going through so much that, you know what? This guy's a big name. His dad is Deion Sanders. Let's find this guy. We aren't finding the guy who the people who prank called Tyler Warren, Kyle McCord, Isaiah Bond. It just doesn't make sense to me, honestly. But I'm gonna play this video right here. So Jax Ulbrich is actually not the one calling. He's actually the one sitting on the couch next to the guy that is actually calling Shedeur Sanders. I'm gonna play it right here. He pretends to be the Saints general manager Mickey Loomis. But I'm gonna play it right here.
Hey, is this Shedeur? This is Mickey Loomis here, the GM of the New Orleans Saints. How you doing? This is Mickey Loomis here, GM of the Saints.
How you doing?
Good. How are you, man?
Good. Been waiting on you.
Yeah, we have. It's been a long wait, man. We're gonna take you with our next pick right here, man.
It's ain't gonna be nothing there.
Hey, but you're gonna have to wait a little bit longer, man. Sorry about that.
To be honest with you, I'm all for doing prank calls on random people, just typing in a random number and prank calling. I'm not just prank calls, but just pranks in general. Like just to do something kind of funny, kind of get a laugh out of it. But when we're calling, especially when their dad is Shedeur Sanders, when we're prank calling that guy and the draft slide that he's going through, I don't know. And the fact that so Jax Ulbrich, I guess, he went on his dad. It's not confirmed. People say his dad's laptop, his dad's iPad. Those are the two. No one really knows. They say laptop or iPad. They say one of those two. And got an email from the NFL, like giving out private phone numbers to players, and Shedeur Sanders popped up on there, so I guess he logged in or something, or the iPad or laptop or iPad was unlocked, so they grabbed Shedeur's number and prank called him. I don't know. That's risky. And yeah, I don't know. If that were me in that situation, I'm not doing that. That's way too risky. Like, honestly, like Jeff Ulbrich, like he could have gotten fired, honestly. I guarantee you he could have gotten fired for this. Even though it wasn't him. Like, I don't know why they aren't finding Jax Ulbrich. I know he's 20, but like he should have that money, right? I mean, if you're going to pull a prank call, you better know the consequence, especially a prank call on Shedeur Sanders. But if you're going to do that, you better know that you're going to, I mean, he apologized, so really no one would have found out if he hadn't came and apologized or like any of that. I don't think anyone would have, at least. But yeah, I just want to do that. But it's also like, can the NFL like, let's calm down? I mean, it's just a prank call. Honestly, a lot of people saying this, I agree with it. Shedeur Sanders, look out. He's on his villain arc. Like he's on a mission. I'm telling you. Like after all this, the draft sliding, the prank calls, all of this, he's coming. I'm telling you, and I'm worried now. But anyway, we're going to go into winners and losers. So this is the first time I've ever really done this on the channel, where I am going to pull up a graphic right here. But yes, we have winners and losers from the 2025 NFL Draft. All right, so we're going to start with the winners. Winner number one. This isn't in any particular order, but this is just a list of winners. We'll also have an honorable mention as well. But the first winner we have is the New York Giants. The New York Football Giants, and what a draft class they had. Honestly, the New York Giants are actually an underdog to be a playoff team, in my opinion. I feel like I would not be shocked if they had 10 or more wins this year. Maybe not, and more. I would say at most they can probably get 10 wins this year. I'm telling you, because not only did they draft Abdul Carter with the 3rd overall pick, they got Jackson Dart. They traded back into the first round to get Jackson Dart, which I think he has a really, really high ceiling and a very low floor. The Giants did come out and say that Russell Wilson is going to start and Jackson Dart is going to sit out his rookie year. They also drafted Darius Alexander, the defensive tackle from Toledo, I believe, who was a top-rated defensive tackle, but there was a reason for why he was sliding. I can't remember why, but really underrated pick. And not only that, every football fan knows this kid's name. Not just college football fan. Every single football fan knows this kid's name. The Giants got Cam Skattebo, the running back out of Arizona State. If you do not know who this kid is, look him up. Watch highlights on YouTube. It's unreal. I mean, he's pretty much the Tyler Warren at running back. He doesn't snap the ball or anything, but he's a receiving threat. He can run the ball effectively. And he can also throw the ball, too. I mean, he's a lot of fun to watch, especially this past year's highlights. Go watch him. There's a must-watch. But the Giants overall had a really good draft class, and I think they're low-key contenders for the playoffs come January. So I would not be shocked if we find the Giants as at least a 7 seed, to be honest. I would say their ceiling can be a 6 seed. Their floor is a 7 seed. Our number 2 winner, though, is the Atlanta Falcons, all right? So some people have this list or have the Falcons as losers, and I can totally agree with that. I can totally understand why. Because, yes, the Jalen Walker pick is awesome. That's the pick of the draft for the Falcons. But they traded a future 2026 first-round pick and more to get James Pierce Jr., the edge rusher out of Tennessee. But not excluding all of that, they had a really good draft. I mean, Jalen Walker at pick 15, James Pierce Jr., the guy I wanted the Bengals to draft so bad. He's going to be a stud, I'm telling you that. But yeah, trading up for James Pierce Jr., I think will be the right move. We'll see if he works out for the Falcons. And then in the third round, honestly, an underrated pick. I feel like not a lot of people are talking about this guy right here. But Xavier Watts in the third round, the safety out of Notre Dame, he was another guy that I would love the Bengals to draft. Maybe not at 17, but at pick 49, 48, where the Bengals were at. He is the guy that I wanted to add another name to the Bengals safety. So the Falcons pretty much stole my draft for the Bengals. But hey, the Falcons needed very, very much help on the defensive line. They got it with Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. They also add help in the secondary that already includes A.J. Terrell and Jesse Bates. I mean, and Matthew Judon, is he coming back? I'm not sure. But they might have a really solid young defense. But we'll see how they perform. I think they had a really good draft, not excluding the fact that they traded future first-round pick, whatever. But at winner number 3, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. Is this what's on the... Yes, okay, because I updated it like last minute. We have the Jacksonville Jaguars at number 3. Well, obviously not in order. But reason that the Jaguars have so many winners and losers, like people have the Jaguars as winners for good reason, though. Because, I mean, really, everyone's talking about that Travis Hunter pick, which is probably the reason that they're winners right here. They also had some other guys like Wyatt Millum, the guard from wherever, I can't remember. But they also had some other good late-round picks as well. But the Travis Hunter one is the one that stole the show. I mean, you're going to have Trevor Lawrence. You're going to have Travis Etienne. You're going to have Brian Thomas Jr., Travis Hunter. That offense is a lot better. And your defense might be better, too. I mean, you're going to have Josh Hines-Allen, Trayvon Walker. You're going to add Travis Hunter to that mix at some point. You're going to have a really solid offense. I mean, I can't wait to watch Travis Hunter and Brian Thomas Jr. That is going to be a scary duo to watch. Insane duo. I would not be shocked if, the next Jamar Chase and T. Higgins, honestly, they could top that. But we'll see if Travis Hunter wants to play either cornerback or wide receiver. He wants to play both. The Jaguars said they'll use him both ways. He's pretty much halving his career. I don't think it's a good idea. Prove me wrong. I hope he does. But from college, it's one thing to play both sides of the ball in college. It's a completely different animal if you try and do it in the NFL. It's not on the graphic right here, but our honorable mention is the Kansas City Chiefs. Underrated draft class. You got Josh Simmons in the first round. Sure, he's coming off a leg injury, a really bad leg injury for an offensive tackle. But if he hadn't suffered that injury, he probably would have gone to the Patriots at pick 4. Omar Norman Lott, that's defensive tackle from Tennessee. Get some help with Chris Jones and George Karlaftis on that defensive line. Noel Williams, I believe he's a corner. The corner out of wherever. Really, really solid corner. And then obviously the wide receiver, Jalen Royals. Really quick receiver. I mean, they had a really solid draft class in all 7 rounds. I think the Josh Simmons and Jalen Royals pick are the top picks that they had. But I really like the Omar Norman Lott pick. I thought that was a really, really good pick by the Chiefs there. But yes, those are my winners. All right. Also, sorry if I left some other teams off. I only have 3 winners and 3 losers and 1 honorable mention. I couldn't fit there was more winners than losers in this draft, in my opinion. But these losers, these are probably the 3 biggest losers and the only losers in the NFL draft. Number 1, we're going to start off with Shedeur Sanders. The reasoning is because he fell from a top 10 pick all the way to the 5th round. I will say you could put him on or take him off this list. Either way, it would have been fine. it's honestly, I've heard this saying before. It doesn't matter when you go. It matters where you go. And really, he kind of failed at both of these. I mean, when he went was not good, and where he went was not good either. I mean, he goes to a terrible, terrible organization, doesn't know how to do anything, really. They're broken. And, yeah, really, he's just a loser, like, overall. I mean, I've seen some people where they put him in both winners and losers. But, yeah, he fell to the 5th round and got drafted to the Browns. That's not a good combination. So he's going to be a loser for sure. And he also joins a crowded quarterback room now. He joins like the likes of Deshaun Watson, Kenny Pickett, Joe Flacco, and now Dylan Gabriel, who's also on this losers list, as you can see. Just overall, it wasn't a good weekend for Shedeur Sanders and the Sanders family. From the draft slide to getting picked by the Browns, the prank call. It was just overall a bad week. But one thing I did like that he said, God don't make mistakes. He's on a mission. He'll prove all of us wrong. I can guarantee that for sure. I hope he does. I'm not one of those people that roots against Shedeur Sanders. I don't see why people hate him. I think really the only reason that people hate Shedeur Sanders is because of Deion Sanders, is his dad. I feel like that's the reason they hate him. It's because his dad retired his jersey and all that. Like, you just hate Deion. You don't hate Shedeur. Honestly, I'm not a Shedeur hater. I like him. I think he reminds me of Joe Burrow a little bit. He's calm. He has a coolness. He's a little bit cocky, which is not good. He's confident. Why do people downgrade him as a prospect for being confident? You don't want a quarterback that's standing in there nervous, doesn't know what to do with the ball. Shedeur just reminds me of Joe Burrow in some ways. He just pocket passer. He's really confident. He's cool. Just a lot of things that obviously personality-wise completely different, but you get the point. Our next loser is my own team, the Cincinnati Bengals, and it's pretty easy to put your own team on here, but the Bengals have probably been given overall the consensus worst draft grade in the draft out of all 32 teams, and I agree. Okay. First off, pick 17, Shamar Stewart. Every time a day goes by and I look at his face, I'm just like, okay, he might not be terrible, but still, 4.5 sacks in 3 years. What in the world are we doing? James Pierce Jr. was on the board. Malachi Starks was on the board, even though I didn't really have a huge interest in him. The guy that I wanted. I didn't have the guys I wanted this year. I just had one. I had my eyes set on one guy, and that was James Pierce Jr. And right as the Bengals pick was in, I was like, do not draft Shamar Stewart. And I was like, I knew that if Shamar is on the board for the Bengals, I just had a fefeeling that they were going to do it. I just had a feeling that they were going to do it. The moment I saw Shamar Stewart's name go in, the moment I heard Shamar, I sat up, I jumped up from the couch and said, they blew it. I quote myself. I said specifically, they blew it. And I think they did. Not only Shamar Stewart. Honestly, I think he's going to be better than these other 3 prospects that they drafted. Jalen Rivers, the guard from Miami. He's been given a terrible grade overall. We drafted offense 3 stinking times. Like, our offense is pretty near complete outside of guard. Dylan Fairchild was probably the best pick, and he's a 2nd-round pick. I believe Dylan Fairchild was our 2nd-round pick, and that was our best pick of the draft, which is mind-blowing. We didn't really need Jalen Rivers. I'll take him. But then we got Taj Brooks, the running back of Texas A&M. What are we doing? He's a good prospect. We have Joe Burrow, who pretty much gets himself killed every single game. We have a defense that is the worst I've probably ever watched. As like a Bengals fan, the worst defense I've probably ever watched as a Bengals fan. Flat out terrible. I mean, Trey Hendrickson's going to be gone in 2 or 3 years. Maybe even next year. So, we got some defensive guys. We got Shamar Stewart. We got Dylan Fairchild. I can't remember some of the other guys' names. Baron Carter and Demetrius Knight. I just feel like they're going to be studs. Glad we got them. Outside of that, overall, just terrible draft. It was terrible. We drafted offense 3 times. Honestly, I was okay drafting it once, as in guard. But when you get a running back, we have Chase Brown, Samaje Perine, Zach Moss, some other guy from New York. We have it's not the best running back room, but we have a solid running back room for a year. I don't see the point in drafting. I feel like they always draft a running back every draft. It doesn't make sense to me. But yeah, I posted a community post about if I was the Bengals GM since 2020. Go check that out. We don't have enough time to go through it, but check that out because Duke Tobin, I'm talking to you. Consider me, all right? I'm open. All right, last one. Dylan Gabriel is one of these losers as well. So 2 Cleveland quarterbacks on the losers list, and the reason is because he joins a stat quarterback room in Cleveland and is likely going to be the fourth string, honestly. And honestly, like, Shedeur Sanders, I feel like, is better than Dylan Gabriel, and at some point, I feel like Shedeur, once Kenny Pickett and Joe Flacco are gone, Shedeur is going to be the guy, and then Dylan Gabriel's just sitting there. I guess you want to call it, like in college, red shirt. He's just sitting there, waiting for his opportunity. Might get a preseason game every now and then. Honestly, I think that's just talent wasted because obviously the Browns did not expect Shedeur to be available with their next pick, so that's why they went with Dylan Gabriel the round or 2 before. But yeah, I just think it was not a good idea. If you were gonna draft, I just realized this at the top. I just now realized this. If you did not expect to draft 2 quarterbacks and you drafted Dylan Gabriel thinking Shedeur wasn't going to be available, why didn't you draft Shedeur before Dylan Gabriel? Why did you draft Dylan Gabriel at all? If Shedeur was on that board and you were going to take him in the later rounds if he was available anyway, then just get Shedeur with the 4th round pick. Wow. I actually never thought about that until like a few seconds ago. Man, are the Browns dumb. Anyway, honorable mention, the Steelers. Honorable mention as losers. The reason why is their quarterback room consists of Mason Rudolph and Will Howard, who I think Will Howard should be the starter. He sounds like a Steeler. He looks like a Steeler. He's cocky. That's one thing I don't like about quarterbacks. If you watch Will Howard, dude, every time he makes a touchdown, he just spreads his arms out. You know, it's nothing crazy, but he's just cocky, and it's something I hate. But he's definitely a Steeler for sure. And also another reason that the Steelers are on this list is because they don't have Aaron Rodgers yet. Like, Aaron needs to make up his mind. He's kind of like me, to be honest. I never make up my mind to like the last minute because I'm never really focused on it. But obviously, Aaron Rodgers that's been the topic on his mind. But we'll see what he does. I really don't know what's gonna happen with the whole Aaron Rodgers thing. We'll see, I guess. But yes, that is winners and losers from the NFL draft. We're going to go overtime again, even with 3 topics. We're going to do the quiz. All right, this was a quiz from 2 weeks ago, but obviously, since I didn't have an episode last week, I was going to do it this week. Who holds the record for the most touchdown passes thrown in a single NFL season? My streak of a month has officially ended. Bummer. Johnny Unitas, 8%. Dan Marino, 12%. Tom Brady, 23%. And Peyton Manning, 58%. I feel like that was a pretty obvious one, the first obvious one in forever. I've been going back and forth whether I'll do one that involves a superhero. I think I might pull it off this week. So go in the community post once this thing's over and see if you can get it right. If I do it, obviously. But yeah, Peyton Manning was the correct answer. It was, since there were more votes, like since it was a week longer than what they usually are, we had more votes than what we normally consist of. And it was going back and forth between Tom Brady and Peyton Manning. I was like, oh my, we might actually get 5th in a row, but nope. Peyton Manning was the winner right there. Question of the week: should the 49ers trade Brock Purdy? Yes or no? This one was actually really tight throughout the past 2 weeks actually, and then the last few days or so, it kind of broke apart. Yes or no? Yes was 41%. No was 59%. At one point, I'm pretty sure this was tied at 50% 3 different times. I'm not even kidding. Like, it was very close. I mean, at one point, it was 51 to 49%. It was probably the tightest question of the week we've had ever, honestly. It was really, really tight. But yes, that is this week's episode. If you enjoyed, hit the like, the subscribe button, and the notification bell to get notified of every single upload this channel makes. Check out last week's episode where I revealed my 2025 NFL mock draft. Highly suggest you guys check that one out. It's similar length to this one, but it's a lot. It's a really good episode. But yeah, hope you guys have an awesome rest of the week and awesome rest of the day. And I'll see you guys next week for another great episode on Deacon's NFL Talk.